financial institutions, normally the big banks in the country and other important financial entities, perform these tests.
And what kind of test is it?
Right, so it is a red team, right? So
you're hacking a bank?
Yes, you're hacking a bank.
Hi, my name is STÖK, and in today's Trisec Tech Talk, we're going to talk about red teams. Together with me today, I have no other than the amazing person, Fabio Viggiani.
Yay!
Fabio, you specialize in red teams, but I want to know a little bit more about who are you and what do you do?
Yeah. So my name is Fabio, and I work with a couple different things. Actually, I do red teaming. I've been doing that for many years, but I also do a lot of incident response and threat intelligence analysis. So a little bit of like red side and blue side and purple side, so a little bit mixed together.
But before we dive into that subject, I decided to head out of town and ask some random people on the street what they knew about red teaming. So wait a second. Hi, excuse me, do you know what a red team does?
No idea. Sorry.
No, what's that?
No. Do you know what a red team does?
Not really.
Would you like to know?
Yes, please.
Fabio, what is red teaming?
Yeah, so red teaming, the definition of red teaming, I think, changes sometimes depending on who is saying it. The way we look at the red team is basically a simulation of a sophisticated cyber attack.
Okay.
And I mean, if you compare that to a regular penetration test, normally in a red team, the scope is usually larger, so you can include more things, more attack vectors, anything from social engineering to physical intrusions to phishing to exploitation of vulnerabilities to escalation in different ways. But also, you normally focus on trying not to be detected. So there should be a blue team on the other side, or a SOC, someone that is actually looking in the environment, making sure that there are no intrusions and they are detected and that they respond to it. So part of a red team assignment is testing the detection and response capabilities of a blue team.
Exactly. That's the thing, right? Because if you're doing a pen test, it's like one-way thing. You're leaving in a report. In this case, you're testing the readiness of the defensive part of the organization. So if you're not there to test the defensive part, then you don't really need to do a red team.
Exactly. We have companies sometimes that say, we want to do a red team. And we ask, do you have a SOC? We're like, well, no. Well, then you probably don't need a red team right now. You should probably make sure you have a certain level of security, that you at least put some effort into some tooling or mechanism or hardening, and you have someone actually looking. If you have no one looking, the red team is going to succeed for sure. And then, I mean, they will bring some value because they will show you what vulnerabilities they have used and what impact they have. But ideally, you want to do a red team when you have a blue team in place, so you can test if they detect things and if they can properly respond to what they detect.
And I know you've been doing some really interesting things over the years, and one of them involves a lot of social engineering, which is that you're getting on site to a location, you're sneaking in and then stuffing some hardware in there. So let's take a look at what it looked like when Fabio did that the other day.
Okay, so here's the box. We're gonna get this ready now in my great box here. I don't even know what stuff is inside there, to be honest. It's just for show. This is what I really want to bring with me. It's gonna need a couple of antennas. Then I'm going to need a Ethernet cable to bring with me. I don't know how long it's gonna have to be, so put it in here. Power, very important. And then the magic box, something like this. Cover it up with some stuff maybe. And then we're gonna get dressed. Okay. Perfect. Now we're good to go. Okay, so here's the place. We're gonna wait for someone to come in the door so we can sneak in and do some tailgating and see if we can get inside. Just gonna wait for someone to come in. Casually waiting. Not gonna be a good time. Just wait a second. I was called in here earlier by Patrick. He said there was some trouble with the sockets in the conference room. You mind if I take a look now?
Yeah, sure.
That looks promising. There is a TV with some cables. You got a cable. We need to make sure there is power down there too. Here's our box. Let's go me check it. There's one right here. We need to be quick so whatever was plugged in doesn't lose connection for too long. We're gonna put it in the box. Then we just need to put this somewhere. It's not so stable though. Now we need power. All set. All right, let's go. There is someone coming out. Gonna wait a second. I think they're going for lunch. Okay, it's clear. Let's go. Yes, awesome. Now let's go check if we got any shell back. Okay. Okay, let's see if we connected back. Yes, there it is. This is a server we control in the cloud where the box is just connected to and open up a reverse shell so we can SSH back into the box. So I'm in the box now, so here, you can start looking for stuff that is in the network. Let's see if we get any traffic going. If we can listen to something, then we know we are in an actual working network. Yeah, we got something going. So this is good. This is a great starting point. Now we can start looking for what's in the network, and if we want, we can also start becoming active with the box and start interacting with other systems in the network.
Are you ever nervous in those situations?
Yeah, for sure. But it needs to be a good balance between being nervous, so you're very reactive to things and can think fast, but also not too nervous that you panic. And done it a few times, and we have people that do it with they're completely natural when they do things. We have people that are actually a lot better than me when it comes to that part. So I'd rather wait for the shell back at the office and I let the guys go in and do the actual intrusion.
Could you tell me a little bit about what was in that magical box that we just placed there?
You have Ethernet ports, so you can connect to a wired network. You have wireless connectivity as well, and then you have 4G components as well for outbound channels, so it actually connects with the SIM card inside. It connects over the telephone network.
So you don't get any kind of egress traffic. You're just transparently monitoring stuff, and then it calls home to you, so you can monitor and manage it.
Exactly. So you are in the internal network through the wired interfaces.
Yeah.
And then we use the 4G channel to jump in and out of the box.
I think that's scary. We got all these Ethernet ports everywhere. Most companies probably don't unplug them or unpatch them. But I saw a really scary thing that you showed me the other day when you spoofed a phone call. And let's just take a look at what that looks like.
Okay, so I'm going to show you how this works. So we're going to do some caller ID spoofing. Can I get your phone?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we're gonna put it here and we're gonna show what's happening. Okay, so I'm gonna call our controller of the SIP call so we can use our SIP trunk to spoof caller IDs.
Enter the recipient number, finish with hash.
Make sure I get your phone number.
Enter the desired caller ID, finish with hash.
Okay, this is the caller ID we want to have, right? We have search here. How about Microsoft support number? This one right here. There it is.
Oh, I don't like that at all. So if I answer
Pick it up.
here, hey dude.
Hey, it's Microsoft.
I don't like it. So can you help me break this down? How does this work?
Yeah, so basically what you need to get this working is transitioning from a SIP call, so an internet-based call, to the actual telephone network, right? And for that, you need a SIP trunk, which is something you can purchase. You can buy as a subscription, a SIP trunk. There are many companies that provide those services. They also need to allow for entering arbitrary caller IDs as the source of the call. And that's not necessarily something that these SIP trunk providers will allow you to do that. You do spoof numbers, that's kind of the point of it, but you do it from who you're supposed to call from, right? Maybe your company or your partner company if you're some kind of service that does telemarketing and stuff, right? But there are companies that actually don't put that restriction, and then you can actually set whatever caller ID that you want. And in our case, because we choose to go with a good company, then we had an actual conversation with them to get this possible. But there are also many that simply don't care. You buy with Bitcoin and you just you set stuff up without no one really checking. So it is possible to do it fairly easily as well. Then you need to actually make the SIP calls yourself. So you need normally like an asterisk server or something like that will handle those calls and make sure that you do the logic you need to apply. And then you just talk to the SIP trunk that you purchase, and that one will place the calls in the telephone network.
It's still all black magic to me, and I think it's super scary because you can be whatever you want at any time. It's
very convenient.
How do you solve this then? I mean, what's the way to, if you're an organization who want to protect against it, what can you do?
Well, I mean, phone calls shouldn't be trusted from a regular, like regular phone calls. If you're a paranoid person, you shouldn't trust the phone call, really. Then, especially if someone is asking you to give something away or to give information or to authenticate yourself. Because normally, we use this as part of phishing attacks, right?
Yeah.
So we can maybe spoof the number of the company itself that we're calling, so pretending we're coming from the internal IT department or something, or it could be the number of a external provider that we know the company uses. But then we normally ask something, or ask them either to do something or to tell us something, because that's part of what you gain as part of the phishing attack, right? So that should, if you're not expecting a call, and if they ask you something, then don't use the source number to decide if it's legit or not.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But that's the fact. That's the world we're living in, and it's good that people know about this. Last episode, we had a really nice challenge for all of you, where you had to guess count how many times Peter said tearing inside his demo. The correct answer to that was 29 times, and the winner of the Geek t-shirt, it looks like this, TrueSec Tech Talk Geek t-shirt, is, drumroll, Adam Nygren. Congratulations to your win. And if you want to participate in today's challenge, you need to go into truesec.com/funtimes. And this week's question is going to be totally related to the thing that we just talked about, caller IDs.
Yeah, you can spoof a caller ID that is not a number, that is actually an alphanumeric string. So you can put a name as the source of the call.
So you can spoof being FBI. And the question this week is, why is this possible? So, if you have the answer to that, head over to truesec.com/funtimes, fill out the questionnaire there, submit your question, and hopefully you have a chance to win this epic Geek t-shirt. And since Peter talked about tearing, we have been mentioning TIBER now. Is that the same thing?
Very different. Actually,
Okay.
Completely different.
Completely different. Can you then explain what TIBER is for me?
Yeah, so TIBER is a red team framework, not a framework in terms of like an attack exploit framework.
Okay.
No, so TIBER stands for Threat Intelligence Based Ethical Red Teaming. It basically works like this. The framework is set at the European level. It's so-called TIBER-EU. Right, and then each European country that implements this framework, not all countries do, but several are.
So you not mandatory, but you
not for a country to
recommend
join. No, so countries can join or can implement this framework, and when they do, then the central bank of that country becomes the so-called TCT or TIBER Cyber Team. They are basically the controller inside the country, ensuring that the most important financial institutions, normally the big banks in the country and other important financial entities, perform these tests. And the central bank, or the TCT, is the one overseeing that these tests are done according to the framework.
And what kind of test is it?
Right, so it is a red team, right? So,
so you're hacking a bank?
Yes, you're hacking a bank. So they are threat intelligence-based red teams, which means you don't, as a red team, you don't just do the hacking in whichever way you like and prefer, but you're actually simulating threat actors and you're performing certain attack scenarios that are based on a threat intelligence work that a so-called threat intelligence provider will put together based on threat intelligence capabilities, like what are the threat actors that are currently attacking banks in this country, and how do they do it? What techniques do they use? Right? What are they after exactly? All those details.
So it's not generic.
Right. So you want to simulate, based on the threat intelligence information we have about the actors, you want to simulate those actors and what they do. And you want to test for the things that are actually probably going to happen, not for all these, like, maybe interesting technically, but not so likely attacks. You could test for those, but is it more valuable for a bank to be tested against some special things that will probably never happen, or being tested against what the threat actors against those type of entities are actually doing?
Okay, so instead of just finding this really weird 0-day, what you're doing instead is that you're actually doing the normal things, like attack surface, phishing, things.
Yeah, but we do those too. It's just they need to be in the context of the scenario that we're testing. So, we are normally simulating very sophisticated threat actors, which do 0 days development and do all that kind of stuff. So those still fit the scenario. You do follow a scenario. So, and you have multiple providers involved. So you have a threat intelligence provider. That is the team that produces the threat intelligence report, which will be used as a base to create a red team test plan, which is what the red team provider, so the other party involved, is going to actually perform and simulate. And you normally have like 3 scenarios. It could be, for example, like one scenario starts by attacking internet exposed resources, and then you go in and you need to go all the way into a very specific application, because that's been identified by the bank in collaboration with the central bank as part of the TIBER framework to be an asset that, if impacted, is going to affect the financial stability of the country. That's what TIBER is about. You want to test things that are, first of all, more likely to happen, and that if they happen, they will impact the financial stability of the country.
I'm really happy that you took time to explain that. But now, my friend, it's time for the guest challenge. And
okay. Should I be scared?
You should always be scared. You should always be scared. It works this way. So we have 4 now different ways and the outcome that this can happen. One would be the imposter. And the second one would be electric shock, which should be interesting.
Doesn't sound right.
Then we have 3 is the hand slap game. 4 is IT acronyms in 30 seconds. And then we have STÖK decides. Feel free to run it through.
Okay.
4, perfect! That's acronyms in 30 seconds. Oh, no. So this is going to be great. So I'm going to put on the timer here. Timer. I got 3,000 of them prepared here, so it's going to be really, really nice for us to do this. So, are you ready, my man?
No, but go.
Nah, it's perfect. So let's go. 30 seconds starting now. The first one would be SMB.
Oh, wait, I'm supposed to... Okay, I didn't get it. I thought you wanted me to mention as many.
No.
Okay, gotcha. SMB,
yes.
server message block?
Service message block is right. It could also be a small business. That's another one. So we'll have another one for you here. I'm running through this. Okay, here we go. RTT.
RTT, round trip time?
Yes, that's correct. You got 2 in 30 seconds. That's great of you.
You only asked 2.
I had 3,000 and we ran out of time. I need to extend that one. I'm going to give you a bonus one. See if you nail this one, because you can't get all of them. Random, this one here. PUE.
Potentially unwanted software? No, PUE, you said. PUE.
It's power usage effectiveness. There you go. Congratulations. That one you didn't know. Out of 3,000, I got one that you didn't know. That's amazing. I'm very happy about that. Last time, we got Peter to ask Hasain a question. And I know you're keeping one as well. So I'm gonna keep that for you. You're gonna be able to ask Hasain in a few seconds. But before we do that, do you have any cool things that you want to share to other red teamers, like the kind of things that you found in the field that you want to share, like some kind of knowledge sharing?
Yes, I think When it comes to reusing credentials inside, right, when you're doing lateral movement and internal escalation, so maybe you have some credentials, you've dumped some hashes in different ways, whichever way you've used it. I always recommend to go with using Kerberos from that point and on, instead of doing like the classic pass the hash and then TLM authentication to use your hash, maybe against a DC or other servers or whatever. Do Kerberos instead, because that's a lot smoother from evading detection perspective, and also for accessing various services that are not necessarily NTLM based, but they're Kerberos based. So instead of just doing pass the hash for NTLM, you take your hash. Yeah, you request a TGT using that hash, right? A ticket granted ticket service, and then you use that to request the selected service that you want to access. It can be an LDAP service against a DC, or it can be a file share service against the server you want to explore, or it can be Kerberos integrated web application internally and stuff like that. So that's a lot smoother to use.
You see there, red teamers, hackers, friends, Kerberos is apparently the way to go. So do you have a question for Hasain?
Yes, and it's related to Kerberos as well. What exactly is the relationship, if you look at that account, in Active Directory, what's the relationship between the password, the hash, and the Kerberos keys that you can find in the NTDS database?
Let's see what Hasain says.
Well, the relationship between the hash, the Kerberos keys, and the password is simply that you have the password, and all of these are derived based on the password. So well-known algorithms, the LM hash, which is an ancient creation, shouldn't be used anymore, but the more modern one, which is the NT hash, use the algorithm, generate the hash, and you can use it for authentication purposes. Like that's what everybody is using for the pass the hash, for instance. The Kerberos keys are more often used in relationship to service accounts. You need them to be able to decode or decrypt the TGSs you receive. Once again, a known algorithm, you have different flavors of them, the DES, the RC4, the AS style. So create the keys and then go ahead and start using them either to decode the tokens or maybe perform authentications as well.
Wow, thanks for that answer, Hasain. That was educational. It's always good to ask Hasain if you have any questions. We tend to do that all the time. I would like to have a picture of you for my friend's book, if that's okay.
Of course.
Pretty sweet. I'm going like this. Let's see here. Oh, there we go. 3, 2, 1. Yay! Old school. So, anything more you want to share about red teams?
Well, I could talk about red teams for forever.
I know.
I don't know. I think it's important to make sure that you share the results with the blue team.
Yeah.
And that you actually do maybe either follow-up purple teaming or just a replay of the attack.
Yeah.
But something that actually brings extra value to the blue team, because we can deliver the coolest red team report ever. But at the end of the day, what's really going to bring value to your customer is how they're going to improve their detection and response capabilities. So if you have the possibility to just sit down with them and actually educate them on the attacks, because they usually have a blue team perspective, which doesn't include the detailed understanding about all the attacks. And to be honest, the red team can learn some stuff too, just by talking to the blue team.
So it's time to bury that ego and get back to the whole collaborative sharing.
Purple team is the way. Now you can do it. Doesn't need to be a purple team that the teams are together from the beginning. They can be separated. You can do a red team against a blue team that doesn't know there is a red team ongoing.
Yeah.
But then come together at the end. That's the most learning that you can get.
And like anything we do in our community and society here, especially in the IT sphere, it's sharing is caring, and we all of us need to step out our game. Cyber is a tricky place. If you want to hang out with us for the next episode of Truesec Tech Talk, head over to truesec.com/stayupdated, and you will find all the stuff there. And remember, you can always find the winner of this challenge and the previous ones over at truesec.com/funtimes. Thank you very much for joining me for this session.
Thank you. It was great.